Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The board held an executive session. No votes were taken during that, so let's... Oh, let's hurry up. Can we all rise to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Are we on?
We may need to reconnect. The server's got to come back on.
Hey, you have such abilities that you could even know.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor Fleming?
Present.
Councilman Jenkins?
Present.
Councilman McGlasson? Present. Councilman Houston?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the intermunicipal agreement for shared electrical inspections. Council, do you want to just quickly address?
Why is...
Or I can. This is something that the county took on a bunch of years ago. It's no cost to the towns, and the county provides for the electrical inspections. So not only do we have the memo from Mike Budzinski, but also the agreement itself between the town and the county. And the agreement goes to 2026.
You ready? You ready? I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution to approve intermunicipal agreement with Putnam
Chris,
County.
one moment.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sure.
My name is Bob Doherty. I've been an electrical contractor for about 35 years. This is something I know quite a bit about. Right now, the county gets $50 for every permit that electricians take out for a building. You know, when you take out a building permit, you need to take out an electrical permit. They also get a piece, what nobody really knows is they also get a piece of each inspection from the electrical inspectors. It's part of their contract with the county. And every town in Westchester, almost every town in Westchester, does the permit process themselves. They have all different fee schedules, but almost every town in Westchester gets the fee from the electrician. It doesn't go to the county. The county has nothing to do with the permits. It's just Putnam County that takes the fee for the permits.
We should get a piece of the act.
So I read that form last night, and the town gets no money from the county for this, but they do share the responsibility of each permit that is taken out. All right? I just thought I'd like to bring it to your attention that maybe you could do it, maybe the town could take this over. They do plumbers. Plumbers have to take permits out in the town. The county used to do it, but they got into trouble, and they gave it back to the towns. So I just feel like it would be a good source of income for the town, and it's something that the town really should have responsibility in which electricians are working in their town.
So from a layman's term and not knowing the process well at all, when the county does the inspections,
No, excuse me. The county does not do the inspections.
they have a contractor that does the inspections.
They have two inspection companies they contract with. They're private companies.
All right, so if the town were to do that, take the county out of it, we would have to
You would
contract,
you would make a contract with the inspection companies.
and we would get a portion of that fee.
You could get a portion of that also. You have to make your own deal.
So why, this goes back way before me, why did the town ever get into this agreement in the first place? What was the reasoning for the
Instead,
town not wanting to do it?
Permits started years ago. There were no you didn't have to take out an electrical permit to do any work. Somebody filed a false application. They didn't have a license, and they had it inspected, and they got the certificate of compliance, and they never had a license. So the county got involved and said, from now on, everybody's going to have to file an electrical permit to do any electrical work and have it inspected. And you have to go into the county building, file it in person, and show ID to take an electrical permit. That was about 25 years ago. Now, there's a drop box outside the county door where you don't have to go in anymore. You just put it in a drop box. Anybody can put anybody's name on it. And that's how the county got into the permits. And that, years ago, it was $30 a permit. Now it's $50.
So I guess the only downside I can see to the town doing it is that either our building inspector or somebody in his office is going to be required to do more work down there.
Exactly.
And
That's
he's
something you
pretty
have to work out
overwhelmed right
inside the town. I can't speak to that.
Right, and that's why this was done, because it was cumbersome for the town to manage, and it was additional duties for an already overtaxed
But
building.
I would like to say this, that the electricians file the application with the town. The town only gives the electrician, only has to fill out a receipt. They just take the application and they file it. So there's really very little work that the town would have to do.
They don't have to approve the permit or close out the permit?
No, there's already a building permit taken out. The electrician or the plumber, they go in and they fill out an application, they give it to the town with a fee. The town takes that and just gives them a receipt that they took out the application, the permit.
I would ask the board, do you guys see any downside of the town doing that? It sounds very simple.
I think we need to at least look into this.
There was one more thing. The town of Putnam Valley already does it.
They do.
They've been doing it for a few years. I would get, if you have any questions, I would call them.
I think we should look into it.
I don't have a
Contact
problem
Putnam
calling
Valley.
the supervisor of Putnam Valley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna table this and look into it, do a little more research, but thank you for the information. It's good to see you, Coach.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is code enforcer, correction of a violation. We have a violation, tax map 33.27-1-16. We had this on a couple of weeks ago, and we had a quote for, I think it was $9,200. I went back the next day and said, yeah, a little high. So now we are vacant building CEO, tried to get 3 proposals. Larry Reynolds Tree Service failed to submit a bid. Bill Henry Tree Service bid $750, and Johnson's Tree Service bid $1,600. So a little more in kind of the range that we were looking for. It's to remove 10 feet back from the house and pool with the brush and cut and chip it. So I recommend that we go with the Bill Henry Tree Service bid of $750. Well, who can see it, yeah.
There's
I
a
mean, you
chance
see the
this might
pictures.
have to be demolished.
Right, but we're not gonna know that until we can get in and
Fine,
see what it
figures.
looks like. Maybe that's what Paul said.
Yeah, I know. Got nice pictures. I make a resolution authorizing the correction of a violation. Whereas the code enforcement officer of the town of Kent issued an order to remedy a violation dated August 23rd, 2021, directing the owner to remove rubbish, grass, and overgrowth from the exterior of their property identified as 109 Terry Hill Road, Kent, New York. And whereas the order to remedy directs the owner to correct the violation or respond to the code enforcement office within 10 days. And to date, the owner of the property has not responded or corrected the violations. And whereas pursuant to Chapter 55A of the Town Code of the Town of Kent regarding property maintenance, upon the failure of any owner to comply, the building inspector is authorized to correct a violation subject to the approval of the town board. And the town board wishes to authorize the building inspector to correct the violation. And whereas consistent with the town's procurement policy, the town of Kent requested 3 written proposals from contractors to correct the violation on the property and received 2 proposals in response, with the lowest proposal from Bill Henry Tree Service in the amount of $750. A copy of said proposal are annexed here too and incorporated by reference. And whereas now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the bid of Henry Tree Service for the correction of the violations at a cost not to exceed $750. And be it further resolved that the actual cost of the correction of the violation plus the accrued legal rate of interest from the date of completion of the work shall be charged to the property owner by the town in accordance with Chapter 55A-12B. I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Where's my house in there?
No, where's the pool?
You don't see the house.
That's how bad it is.
Chris, where's the pool?
Okay, the next
Looks like
item
somebody's got a nice wooded lot.
on the agenda, Chief, do you want to come up? So we are getting a new canine officer. I spelled it out.
Hopefully.
rather than putting the K in the 9. But if you want to just briefly talk about.
Yeah, so Sergeant Vanderwood's dog, Radar, is getting near the end of his lifetime. He's still fine, but probably going to retire near the end of the year. We have an opportunity to get another police dog. Sergeant Vanderwood secured a grant from AKC people for $7,500. We have another private donor from the town who wants to kick in another $2,500. And we're looking to purchase another police dog and get another canine officer. So that's where we're at now.
What happens to Radar?
Radar gets retired and hopefully goes with Sergeant Vanderwood off into
Okay.
retirement. Not Sergeant Vanderwood's not retiring, just the dog.
The dog will stay home and Sergeant Vanderwood will still come to work.
Yes.
So Sergeant Vanderwood gets a new dog?
No. We're gonna pick a
We're
new
gonna swap it.
officer.
We're gonna swap it
Yep,
out. So it'll be
pick
a new
officer.
officer with a new dog.
Yep.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll all happen over the next couple months, as long as you guys approve of.
How much does a new dog usually cost?
New dog's about $8,500.
Sold. Come to my house tomorrow.
It goes through a lot of training. It's not like we buy a puppy. It's not a puppy.
Oh,
The
she's
dog-
not a
the-
puppy.
No, the dog is, close to 2 years old. And you did ask me about the name. It does already have a name, Saber.
Saber.
Saber, but that can be changed.
No, it's Sadie. You're close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You can change that after 2 years? I feel like that would screw him up pretty
Yep.
good.
Yeah, you can.
We're going.
Okay, I mean.
So we're planning, so what we're asking the board to do tonight is to formally accept the grant and to approve the purchase. And I don't have the voucher right in front of me, but I would ask that after the meeting, everybody sign off.
I have one if you need it.
Oh, good, yeah. Just so that we sign off, because we are going to be getting the dog next Tuesday.
Yeah, if you don't get me to sign it now.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's the grant, and then the voucher from the town is for 6, and the private donor's kicking in $2,500.
Oh, do you want to sign? You always sign off there.
I think I already gave Yulia.
Yeah, but it wasn't signed off down. And you'll get your 3, well, once we approve it. I'm not being presumptuous.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I'll sit down
Yeah.
here and sign.
All right.
We're
Well, first,
gonna approve it.
I make a resolution to accept an AKC Reunite grant to the Town of Kent Police Department. Whereas AKC Reunite has awarded a grant in the amount of $7,500 to the Town of Kent Police Department for purchase of an additional police canine officer. And whereas the town board desires to accept the grant and to approve and ratify any and all prior actions taken by town officials in connection therewith. And whereas the town board of the Town of Kent authorizes the Town of Kent Police Department use the grant funds for the purchase of a canine. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the Town of Kent hereby gratefully accepts the AKC Reunite grant in the amount of $7,500 and authorizes the use of the funds for the purchase of a canine officer. And it is further resolved, the town board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. Be it further resolved, the town board of the Town of Kent hereby approves and ratifies all acts heretofore taken by the town board, town supervisor, and any and all other town officials in connection with the subject grant. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, last meeting, I put on the medical insurance for elected officials, and there was some concerns about people who already have the insurance because they've been longtime employees paid for in full by the town, that they shouldn't be affected by this because it's a substantial change in the terms of their employment. So I took the section of the handbook and made these couple of changes that should hopefully cover those employees. So on section 806, the premium payments section, the first section says elected officials, the town will pay 80% of the premium for each full-time elected official whose term begins on or after January 1st, 2022. And I changed the wording of the next paragraph that says full-time employees hired prior to January 1st, 2009. The town will pay 100%. This is the language that was already there. The town will pay 100% of the premium for each full-time employee whose first date of full-time employment was prior to January 1st, 2009. This is the language that was added. This applies to elected officials who have been in continuous full-time employment of the town in whatever capacity and whose start date was prior to January 1st, 2009. And then the only other change from what was in the agenda last week was in the section that says medical insurance for retirees, section 808. Again, there's the elected officials portion that talks about the change to 80%. And under that, full-time employees hired prior to January 1st, 2009. Again, the same language was added. This applies to elected officials who have been in continuous full-time employment of the town in whatever capacity and whose start date was prior to January 1st, 2009. So I think those were the protections that the board was interested.
I have a question. So what happens, let's say, a highway employee, and it has happened before, has been hired before 2009, and they decide that they want to run for highway superintendent.
And they're covered.
Does that cover them?
Yeah, in whatever capacity, so full-time continuous employment.
Okay.
But if they retire, you know,
If they retire,
leave, then
there's a
it's-
lapse, but,
Right.
okay.
But if they retired, they'd be covered by the insurance anyway.
I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, my position is that like if we did this a few years ago, and I'm on my last 2.5 months here, there's going to be 1 to 4 new elected officials sitting up here. I would rather leave it to them to work out the details of exactly what it is that they're going to do in the next year going forward. It seems like, you know, with the last 2.5 months to be finalizing these details seems silly. I haven't taken health insurance since I've been here. You know, I haven't taken the vouchers, so I've saved the town whatever I've saved the town. There's going to be a new full-time supervisor. It may be one of a few people. There's, you know, the highway superintendent. I don't know. He's running unopposed. I don't know his insurance situation. I haven't talked to him. I just think this should be left for the next board in a month or two to figure it out. So.
Well, you don't take the health insurance because in 2015, we removed part-time elected officials from health insurance or from getting a buyout.
No, but I also didn't take it before it was removed. And I also don't take a pension. And I didn't take the buyout. So it's not just laughable like I literally didn't take it.
Right, but one of the reasons that we did this was, and unfortunately, we never followed up with the change in the rule book, but we made this change to the law that the supervisor, the highway superintendent, and the town clerk were to pay a portion of the health insurance. So now if we're going to go into the new, into a new term, and that's not done, it seems like then it's just, well, now that people are grandfathered in, or they, now it is going to be, the next year. I think this is the perfect time to do it because it was our intent and we just never did it and it never affected anything. Saying the town supervisor, the highway superintendent, and the town clerk were going to have to pay a portion of their health insurance when we grandfathered in people that had gotten 100% and nobody else took it. So it wasn't like somebody, got away with it, even though we changed the law to say, well, you didn't pay it or you didn't get it. You got health insurance for free because we didn't change the handbook. The law is changed. The law says they pay a portion. And it seems to me, this isn't an arbitrary and capricious number. This is what our regular full-time employees pay who were hired after 2009. It's not more than they pay, it's not less than they pay. It seems to me to be equitable that an elected official, we said they were going to pay, and they should pay the same amount, not a smaller portion or a larger portion.
Well, if the law's already changed, the law's changed. I'll let the new elected officials change the handbook as they see fit. That would just be my position.
Okay.
I'm okay changing the handbook. I think the intent was there. This is just a housekeeping thing as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. All right, anybody else? Okay. You want to read it then, Chris?
Oh, I don't even have the other half of it here. Hold on. Where does it go after page 1? Is that the end of it right there?
No, here, you want. Oh, the end of it is just the vote. Yeah.
All right, yeah, I just gotta read this one page. I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution adopting policy for payment of health insurance coverage for full-time elected officials, whereas an amendment to Kent Town Code, Chapter 14-12, entitled Money in Lieu of Health Insurance was adopted by the town board on 12/1/2015 by local law number 3-2015. And whereas pursuant to said local law, only full-time town employees and full-time elected officials, specifically the town supervisor, the highway superintendent, and the town clerk are eligible for health insurance coverage paid for in part by the town. And whereas the town board previously adopted a policy wherein the portion of health insurance coverage paid by the town for town employees is 80%, and the balance of such health insurance coverage is paid by the employee, and whereas the town board must adopt a policy determining the portion of such health insurance coverage to be paid by the town for the above referenced full-time elected officials, and wishes to adopt the same policy as the one set for town employees. Now therefore the town board adopts the annexed policy to be added to the town handbook in the form annexed hereto and incorporated as part of this resolution, so that only full-time town employees and full-time elected officials, specifically the town supervisor, the highway superintendent, and the town clerk, are eligible for health insurance coverage, of which 80% shall be paid by the town and the balance is to be paid by the employee. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the payment of 80% of health insurance coverage for the following full-time elected officials by the town: the supervisor, the clerk, and the highway superintendent. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor shall cause the employee handbook to include this policy in the form annexed hereto and incorporated herein. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all agreements of other documents necessary to give effect to this resolution consistent with the terms hereof, all in form satisfactory to the supervisor and the
Town attorney.
town attorney. I make this motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilman Jindal?
No, but a point of fact or ask question for Nancy as we run through this roll call. So the local law said that the town will not pay 100% health insurance for elected officials. It did not specify the amount, the local law.
That's right.
Okay,
It
so
said
now
pay a
we're,
portion.
okay, so now we are actually specifying the amount of the compensation of an elected officials without a local law. So the amount of the compensation of elected officials is actually set by resolution without notice, without public hearing, without local law. And my question is, can you reduce the compensation of elected officials by a significant amount, 20% of maybe a family policy is, $5,000, $600,
It's not-
without an actual local law setting that out? Can you do that can you alter the salaries of elected officials through a handbook change without a local law?
I don't think that we did that. I think that we altered their salary when we adopted the local law. We just said we were going to set the amount in our policies.
Okay. That's just a question. So I vote no.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
I'm going to abstain.
Councilman Eustace,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thanks. We have to actually add a couple of items to the agenda tonight. I was contacted by Judge Timothy Curtis today, asking that we add to the agenda the town board authorizing the Kent Justice Court to submit an application for the 2021 JCAP grant, and that grant application, they've been working on it, is due by Thursday, October 7th. So that's where we got these beautiful new microphones, and we're going to have some sound baffling put into the courtroom through a JCAP grant. So I think the courts have done wonderful work applying for these, and I think we need to, so I make a motion to add an item to the agenda to approve a 2021 JCAP grant application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, if you want to read it.
I make a resolution allowing an application for the JCAP grant, whereas the Town Kent Justice Corps wishes to submit an application for the 2021 JCAP grant, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to authorize the Town of Kent Justice Court to apply for the 2021 JCAP grant. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes Jessica Edwards, Court Clerk of the Town of Kent Justice Court, authorization to apply for the 2021 JCAP grant. I make that motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I ask to add an item to the agenda to add a member of, to the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And I do apologize, it was an oversight that this was not put on the agenda.
I make a motion to add Jeannie Garbarino to the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board. I don't know what the term is. Can we just?
I didn't know it was going to
I
be
know.
on the agenda, so I don't know.
So why don't we just add, and then next
Okay.
meeting, you can just put in the term.
Okay.
Second for discussion. I just want to add my 2 cents. I've known the Gabarino family for many years. I believe when I was the officer at the Lake Carmel Property Owners, the mother of Mrs. Gabarino, might have been Barbara, but they go back many years, and I think it'd be a compliment to the Park District Advisory Board. So I just want to make sure I put my 2 cents in. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Second.
okay, I thought he seconded for discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What's that?
You're up.
Okay. I ask the town board to approve the following vouchers that are over the threshold as of October 5th, 2021. Atlantic States Lubricants, $3,259.36 for motor oil. Bayer Ford, $44,597 for a police SUV. Camerata Truck Parts, $5,567.60 for truck parts. Geneserve, $2,235 for annual monitoring of Water District Number 1. Global Montello Group, $3,415.40 for fuel. Global Montello Group, $4,912.60 for fuel. Hogan and Rossi, $5,416.63 for legal services. Millennium Strategies, $2,250 for grants services for September. Robert Green Auto and Truck, $65,118.80 for a 2020 Ram. State Controller, $44,528 for Justice Court fines and fees. The Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $23,170.84 for chargebacks from Highway. Woodland and Curran, $36,635 for the Palmer Lake project. I ask you to approve this rate.
Can we add for the K-9
Oh,
officer?
yes.
The
And-
7,500, I'm not sure who the vendor is. on that.
6,000.
And Grasso Shepherds of Shelton, Connecticut, $6,000 for the new police canine dog.
Thank you.
Saber.
Saber. Second, all in favor?
Aye. I thought he was coming to my house to get Sadie.
Yeah, you were a little confused.
Oh.
I think it's the hunger.
I heard $6,000 for my dog.
Okay, I only have a few announcements. Putnam County Department of Health Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day is this coming Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Fonstock State Park, Canopus Beach parking lot, Route 301 in Kent. There's a list of items that are acceptable and a list of items that are not. You can go on the website and look at them. You have to pre-register at putnamcountyny.com/recycling to schedule an appointment. The Town of Kent, I don't have a flyer, but hopefully for the next meeting, we're having our e-waste day on October 23rd from 9 to 12, where you can bring a lot of the stuff that you can't bring to this household hazardous waste. You can bring TVs, computers, monitors, all of the list of everything that you can bring will be on the website. There are no appointments required, 9 to 12. It'll be in the parking lot behind Town Hall, and people have been asking for this, so hopefully people will be pleased. This Saturday, October 9th, from 12 to 5, is the event to honor the memory of Caitlin Rose Savio. All proceeds go to the Caitlin Rose Savio Foundation, which provides a scholarship to a Carmel High School graduate interested in pursuing a career in nursing. The Caitlin Rose Savio Foundation also does a lot with the lifeguards in the Lake Carmel Park District. So again, that's Saturday, October 9th, 2021, from 12 to 5 p.m. I believe this is up already on the website. If not, it will be. Do you want to do this one, Bill?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. The Kent Historical Society is having a benefit sale Sunday, October 17th, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., 1374 Route 52 in the town of Kent. It's the Ludington Mill site. This is a benefit sale to aid in the operations of the KHS Schoolhouse programs and enhance the management of our collection. A little bit of everything old as well as new items, some antiques, knickknacks, tools, and a variety of other items. If you have any questions, you can call 225-9459 or contact the Kent Historical Society at kenthistoricalsociety@gmail.com.
Just a great, hope that everybody can come out to this tag sale, the Historical Society. It's the fund money raised is going to the schoolhouse, and they've really spent a lot of time. And there's a dynamic group of people, and explore and get to sit down and talk to some of the people working up there. It's an experience. I had a long talk with a famous writer I met up there. Gave me the whole thing about Sybil Ludington, and said that Eustace families might be related to the Ludington. Eustace married a Ludington, so of course now I have my interest. But get involved, and I want to really invite our elected officials to come up and see 1374 building, and I'll give you a tour. Thank you.
Anyone else have any announcements? Okay, so, oh, sorry about that. So the tentative budget for the town of Kent was submitted on the 30th of September, which is the deadline for that budget, to the town clerk. I believe the town board members were presented with a copy of the budget. Now that the town board members have been presented with a copy, it will go up on the website. It should go up on the website tomorrow. I am pleased to announce that this is the 8th year that we are not increasing town taxes, hopefully. I mean, I imagine that that is the intent of the rest of the board as well. We had a couple of slight increases in the tentative budget, one in the sanitation department, one in the Lake Tibet Park District number 2. We will be having, and we're working on the contract right now with the Lake Carmel Fire Department. Lake Carmel Fire Department, I included their numbers in our budget. They are asking for a 0.5% increase next year, which is pretty amazing with the cost of equipment and training. And the Kent Fire Department gave us their budget, and I believe it's a 0.03% increase. Their entire budget, which is almost $500,000, went up $135. So it's very impressive to see kind of everybody working together. So the board, we're going to be holding a series of budget meetings. We just have pretty much discussed one so far, and that will be Wednesday, October 13th at 8 a.m. We haven't set the departments in stone yet. At some point, that might adjourn to executive session if the issue of individual salaries come up, because that's executive session material. But any other discussion we have, it's open to the public. It will probably be held in the conference room right behind the meeting room, so if the public wants to attend, we'll have room. That's it.
Public comment?
So, yes, public comment. Excuse me.
Will residents need to bring some kind of proof of residency to the e-waste function?
Well, you know, that was discussed because people were talking about, we don't want the ravages of, people from Patterson coming.
Well,
but
I don't know why Patterson is singled out.
I don't know.
We share an address with Carmel.
Yes.
So I think some way should be figured out that it is strictly for Kent residents, since Kent is paying the bill.
We can have driver's license.
So I
Should
think,
be.
pardon?
Should be.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think
well,
It should be really regulated.
We'll figure out, we'll figure out with, showing your ID and something with your address on it, that's,
It says Carmel, so you're gonna have to go by
Well,
street address.
Sedgwick roads, there's one in Carmel.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get like a street map, and a list of street maps.
But see, I mean, I don't want to be paying for anybody else's e-waste, but at the same time, if you have a Kent resident show up with a driver's license and you're saying, no, you need a Town of Kent issued special card, I mean, it's just not gonna work. I mean, yeah, like what do I do? Like you said, 2 Sedgwicks. Would I start sending people from Sedgwick back? Sorry, you're gonna have to get me something else. I mean, that's why. Like, yes, we.
I think to the best of our ability.
It is open to Kent residents only, as far as I know. But I don't know who's manning the voter ID booth here. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
So
I'm not.
I think to Paul's extent is we will do the best we can,
Yeah.
but we're not going to send somebody back to Western Kent if they show up and
If you have Connecticut plates,
We're doing a good deed here.
if you have Connecticut plates,
No, not the Connecticut.
I know, but it's a
You
long
ain't
ways to
dumping your
drive
TV.
across Kent to come all the way back to throw away a TV.
Yeah.
you have to get your,
Oh, no,
yeah,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Hear that, everybody out there in TV land? If you live in Kent, bring your e-waste to the e-waste day. If you don't live in Kent, don't show up.
Right, go to the town you live in.
Yes, we will do the best of our
Can we-
ability to make sure that they are Kent residents. We might make a few mistakes.
So, thank you.
Just a general question on the budget for next year. Seems from, at least from an outside perspective, that there are two things that are potentially dramatically different that have occurred over the current year. One is the America Recovery Act and some of the funding that has trickled down through the states to implement. A second is whether or not, particularly from the recent storm, will be available for grant work that could help certain things that would otherwise be related to capital improvements or the like. And then the third would be a overall increase in the population in the town. It might not be dramatic, but it seems to be pretty steady. Everywhere you look in town, every corner, a house is being renovated, new people moving in, and overall the value of the properties are going up. So just wanted to hear from you on overall how that impacts the planning for 2022.
But we lost population actually at one point. We don't have the numbers yet for any growth that came about because of, people fleeing cities and seeking a more open space environment after COVID. With regard to the American Recoveries Act, that is really, and the board, that's something that the board has to talk about because that's very specific in what you can use. So you can't use it to balance your budget. You can't, you can use it for certain salaries that were necessitated by COVID, but you can't just use it for salary increases. So there are parameters that we really have to discuss to see how that fits in. So even though we have half of that money in the bank right now and we'll have the other half next year, that didn't come into play when doing the budget because there are certain capital projects you can use it for, but not all capital projects. And it's pretty much, we've been talking to our grant writer to kind of sit down and really help us before the board figures out exactly what we're going to do with that. So again, that didn't come into play in the budget. We didn't use that to balance the budget. We have, and what was the other? There were three things.
The storm damage stuff, which we'll be
Yeah.
applying for, will be eligible. If the replacements are eligible, if I think for up to 75% of the replacement cost anything damaged by the storm. Again, it wasn't planned into the budget because we're just going to fix back what was already there.
Right.
Okay.
And we
So-
fight for more.
Sorry?
And we fight for more.
No.
We gotta do more of that.
Appreciate it. So it sounds, and this is not meant to be contentious, but it sounds surprising that based upon what I have seen anyway from the monies that have been earmarked towards communities, pretty significant, that wouldn't, you're saying that it has not impacted your budget plan at all, even though you say there's money in the bank and there's more coming next year. Am I correct in my understanding of your comment?
Right, because we would have to figure out what projects we would do that would fit under that funding. So that's not in the budget.
Right. So what you're saying then is that you haven't considered which they may be at this point. When would you do so then?
When would we?
When would you look at the funding that's been shared, is sitting otherwise in the bank, and then plan for it. Because, as I'm sure everybody knows, there's a lot of work to be done around town. One of the ones that leaps to mind that's also been impacted by some of the storm damage is infrastructure. As you've heard me say before, the highways, local roads from 84 to 311, 52, and the locals are in awful shape.
Right, but there's only certain infrastructure projects you can do under it. And I do not believe, I don't have the text in front of me. I do not believe that roads are part of that. It's water infrastructure. There are a couple of other different projects, but roads don't come under it. So we can't, and we have to account for how the money is spent. We can't just say, well, you know, so again,
I'm trying to understand your question. Are you asking when we would be budgeting for capital projects for next year? When we would be setting aside monies to use for projects outside of the operational budget? Is that what you're asking?
No, my specific question is, again, there's budgets that people across the country have been watching in the news that have been earmarked to help communities recover. That money has been deposited in the town of Kent's account.
Right.
And is, if I could finish, please. And at this point, as far as I am concerned, I don't know how other residents feel or know about it, nothing at all has been done either to look at how it could be allocated, understanding it can't be allocated across the board, but it can be allocated somewhere. I'm just wondering when you would think about something, if it's a large amount, to apply, because that's what it was intended for.
Yeah.
If not, then that would be disappointing to know that the town board has not looked at funding that's come in to do something with it. Because the fact of the matter is, the money is supposed to be for the benefit of the taxpayers. Again, I'm asking the question. That's my question.
There's no question it's going to benefit the taxpayers. We're going to go through a process. You know, I've been asking this rescue money, what are we going to do with it? And it's going to be a process. And I can assure you, I mean, Lake Carmel and all the areas, I mean, I got a list of from highway now with 4 culvert bridges and stuff, and some of the other things they're doing. I mean, that money has got to be well planned, but again, there is specific things you can and can't use, so we'll come up with a plan.
it doesn't get included in the operational budget just to balance the budget and keep, you know, like when we do major projects, that can come out of fund balance because that's a proper use of fund balance. So what we use the money for, and I'm hoping to start this discussion soon. We were waiting for a while for our grant consultant to kind of lay the land out a little plainer for it. And the guidance is not totally specific to the level that, you know, we would like to see it. But, you know, we will be working on it.
And the insurance claims.
And the insurance claims.
And the
right.
FEMA. Package it together, I think we'll get more for the buck. My opinion.
Right, I mean, we're applying through FEMA for storm damage. I also have a meeting next week with FEMA for COVID recovery, so to get some reimbursement. But again, all of those things, you know, they sound so great, like, oh, you're gonna get, you know, money for all the PPE and all the stuff you spent, and then it's like, you know, so I sent a list to, you know, our contact and said, well, you know, this, and this, and it's like, well, no, you don't get it for that. And no, you get 5% for that. And so, you know, we're still going to do it and we're still going to apply for it, but it's not like the windfall you would hope for. But, I mean, as we all know, every bit helps, so we're not going to let it go by.
Yeah, we got $100,000 for the Lake Carmel Dam. It's only the beginning. We got to keep on fighting and advocating. And when we get the competition is unbelievable. And sometimes park districts, because it's closed, sometimes there's an eligibility issue. And we're trying to overcome some of that. So we're fighting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Walt.
Anyone else? Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much for coming out. The next town board meeting is October 9th, and as I said, budget meeting October 13th, 8 a.m.
October 9th?